I'm Adrienne Enns, and I welcome you to the Intention Sessions podcast. I want to inspire our most intentional living. In each episode, we'll talk to remarkable individuals who will share their authentic journeys and their insights with us. They're going to remind us that life's complexities can be our greatest teachers, and that intentional living can be expressed in an infinite number of ways. I hope you find some inspiration for your most intentional life right here. Today on the podcast, I am really thrilled to reintroduce you to Emma Kupu Mitchell. She is a soul medicine artist. She's been a practitioner of holistic therapies for over 30 years, including clinical aromatherapy, plant medicine, Ayurveda, depth numerology, elemental astrology with an emphasis on the moon, yoga nidra, and sound healing. Her passion lies in elemental and shamanic astrology, particularly lunar wisdom. Her intention is to demystify and share these teachings with you and I in practical ways and invite us to embody these wisdoms into our everydays, creating greater health, harmony, and alignment in all areas of our lives. And I say I'm reintroducing her because she joined us last year on the podcast, and she and I have had the pleasure of working together on all kinds of great workshops regarding the moon cycles and intention setting. So I wanted her to come back with this look at astrology for what we can, how we're closing out this year and what's in store for 2022. So Emma, welcome.
Oh, Adrienne, thank you. Aloha. It's always a pleasure to be collaborating with you and just a part of your community. So thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. And I just feel like, on any given year, we're always keen, about what the next year has to bring. And I feel like that's especially true for the past couple of years we've had. So I'm very excited to dive in. Where do you think we should start?
Well, let's start, shall we, reflecting back, because I think where we've come from sets up the energy of where we're going, right?
Absolutely.
Shall we begin there? As we're closing out 2021, I think with a deep exhale, it feels like it's been forever, doesn't it? Time has kind of dissolved into all and then everything. I mean, timelines to me, a month seems like a year, and yet a day seems like an hour. It's so bizarre. I don't know if you're feeling that.
I feel, yes, time feels very fast and slow. Like some things take forever. And then I'm like, where did that time go?
Right. So this energy, it's a very mutable. So, astrology can get very heady. And that's, I think, why in all my years of teaching and learning, I kind of put it on a back burner for my own awareness, but there's a lot of information. And then I always go, well, what do we do with that? And nobody could have predicted, any astrologer, what was going to play out. And that's a little kind of disclaimer. We don't know. We can read the energy like music. It's like putting kind of a beautiful CD on and going, wow, what's the CD going to be for 2022? We knew back in January of 2020 that there was a lot of these large outer planets meeting, and they hadn't done that for hundreds of years. So we knew there was some kind of huge change going on. And as we looked back on 2020, we're like, oh, thank goodness, 2021 is going to be easier. We're all dealing with the pandemic, we've more awareness, but it's been rather challenging. And that's partly because a lot of the energy is mutable. And there's three modalities. Think of it like three cars. We have kind of the fixed car, which is stable and grounded, and a little bit more, predictable, as in it's supportive. and it takes longer to move. So it's kind of your heavier, solid car. And then we have the mutable, which is more flimsy and changeable and erratic and moves with the wind. That's the energy that we've been in 2021. A lot of this mutable, very erratic, very changeable, very unpredictable energy. And we're closing out 2021 with these last two eclipses. And as you mentioned, my focus, I mean, I love all forms of astrology, but the moon and the lunar wisdom is really our subconscious soul awareness. A lot of the Western astrology is solar. It's very much about doing, the sun and the action. Whereas Vedic and more shamanic traditional astrology, the focus is aligning your own energy with the rhythms of nature and particularly the moon. Because the moon teaches us about our emotional intelligence, our energy, and the giving and receiving of life. And that it's okay to pause and rest in the darkness before we get the new moon. It's not all about go, go, go. And our indigenous elders knew how to farm and how to live in alignment. So the eclipses really are when the sun, moon, and earth align. And typically we get them twice a year, Adrian. So we're closing out 2021 after this very erratic, unpredictable, quite dualistic, very polarized energy in many things about the structures of our world and our truths and our freedoms, that we've got these two powerful eclipses. So November, we have a solar eclipse in Scorpio, and December, we close out, mix that up. This is the dates. We have a lunar eclipse first, and then we have a solar eclipse closing out 2021. And what does that mean? It means that eclipses are breakthrough moments of change. And think about anything being eclipsed. You know, if my daughter walked across the television screen and stood there for a few minutes blocking my favorite show, she's eclipsing my view of the TV. Something, when she moves, changes. You know, something comes into my awareness because I've missed something, but then we go, the light, the screen looks different, it's changed. That is really what's happening in our unconscious and our external worlds with these eclipses. So they're not bad. I don't believe in good or bad. I do, however, want to highlight the awareness for us all in December. That solar eclipse, the new moon, is eclipsed on December the 3rd. And so it resets the energy for the next 6 months. So in December, which is a chaotic, often busy time period, I would invite all your listeners to be very aware of mindfully writing out their intentions for 2022 on that round about December the 3rd, 4th, 5th. We always have a 3-day period. And in doing that, look back, reflect back on what you learnt in 2021. You know, where have the structures in your life perhaps been readjusting and changing? What is not in alignment for you now? And that, when I mean structures, that could be how you spend your time and energy and money and resources. People in your life, you know, perhaps there's some people that need to it's time, it's just a season and you're not in alignment. Send them on with love. Could be work, it could be commitments, daily habits, anything in your world. Look back and what have you learnt? Because this year in 2021, we've had this Saturn Uranus square, waking us all up to, okay, what isn't working? Saturn is responsibilities and structures, and Uranus goes, hey, break free, let go, make some radical changes. And some people can do that easier than others. I know you and me, Adrian, we can both speak to our Taurus sun. Earth signs have a harder time to let go. And it's okay, but we've all been learning. And I really want to invite, you know, your listeners and community to focus on that last new moon, that eclipse in December, to reevaluate. What do you want to take with you? Dreams, visions for not only December, that moon cycle, but really the next year, because that energy is going to feed right through till April. And it's resetting your dreams, your visions. And I don't want to limit that on anybody. We are going to look ahead into kind of the container of the energy, but that is the time to do it. So it's earlier on in December. It's a fire solar eclipse. It's Sagittarius. So whether you Sagittarius, in your moon or your ascendant or your sun, everybody will be influenced by that energy. And it's very much perhaps about learning something new or higher truths or changing your ideas. It's a higher mind, creative energy.
And what about, like you mentioned earlier, that this year has really been a lot about duality and polarities. So how does that shift, or how do we, reflect on that to somehow incorporate it into this eclipse of change?
Yeah, a lot of it is been about truth, actually. What's my truth? What have I been hearing in regards to our politicians, countries, the media? There's that external and our own. And the division really between, I don't want to go there too much, but it's been happening in, the pandemic. What is true, what isn't around vaccines and what to do. And I mean, we see it. You can hear this British voice. I live here in Hawaii, but my family are in England and my sister's in Melbourne, Australia. The three of us have been dealing with very different rules and restrictions and experiences in regards to what we can do, what we can't do. And I know you there in Canada. And, I would invite everybody to pause and go, what is my truth? That's all we really can do. It begins with ourself, and kindness, love, respect for others. But it's coming back to what feels deep within your side in alignment and truth for you, regardless of what's going on outside. And I always say it's about setting your own in frequency and energy internally. So imagining that internal feeling or energy to be a light, what would that light and color feel like to you if you can raise that light as bright as anything and still navigate your dreams and visions, regardless of anything going on outside of us? And that's been the challenge, right? We're all human. We're all living it in a different way. And, life happens, as you and I know. We've just spoken to that off recording. And it's coming back and going, oh, God, I feel shit today. And everything's going haywire. But breathing back into, how can I bring a feeling of joy and love and hope into my own inner world? And people can do that in different ways, right?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I just really love you saying that. And when you say it, as most things are, right? I'm like, of course. But I really love that, the way you described it as the duality of inside us and outside of us, because I think we've just seen, like, for all of us, I don't exclude anybody from this, but, when things are happening outside of us, it's difficult not to get caught up and react and respond. And just, what I hear you saying is really taking this time to pause and just really check in, right? Like, where's the balance here? This is going on outside, but what is actually true for me? And then recalibrating those dreams too. What might have been your dream a week ago or a month ago or a year ago may not be the same today. So I really, really love this sort of, that getting into this harmony, right?
Yeah, I think that internal setting, I think how things change, right? The dreams change.
Yeah, and I really hope that people, if you're listening to this, in that time frame, you have an opportunity to take advantage of those days in December. But Emma, I think you'll agree with me. If you're listening to this much later, there's always an opportunity to do that exercise, and it's always beneficial.
Absolutely. And, for me, what's coming up is, where has fear taken me in 2021? Because, in very simplistic terms, the internal and external have been really about love and fear and the duality in that. And are we responding from fear within us or without us? And how has that served me? That's what's coming up for me. Now, it's going to be different for everybody. And I love what you said about, my dream or where I was 2 weeks ago might not be where I am now. And that is okay. That's part of this deep transformation that's happening in the skies and within us. We're not separate to everything going on, but everybody has their own unique journey and way of and free will, choosing what you do with your one precious life, right?
Yes.
And Mary Oliver summed that up beautifully. And this is a potent time. Any new moon is. But as we close out really with that solar eclipse, the new moon, so the sun is eclipsed, our subconscious reality has those moments of reset. So use that. What do you want to reset in your own world and life? Not just for the end of 2021, but looking ahead. That would be a really great time, because the energy is going into the next 6 months. And it's a fire element, so you could light a candle, anything that brings in that element of fire. It's a creative, so it could be, yellow, orange, red, whatever that is. Could be a barbecue here in Hawaii if you're in a warm climate, or a fire pace or something safe. But, bring in that element of that particular new moon.
I love it. And I always love if there's, an actual fire where, if there are things you want to let go of, if we write them down and, have a ritual of putting them into the fire, that can be very powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And you've got these 3 days, I would say the new moon or the dark moon is a time to release, reset, take a pause, receive, and then set those intentions. Yeah, it's perfect.
Amazing.
So that's 2021, as if we add that up as a numerologist, I work a lot with vibration and an energy of not only the skies, but our world. 2021 was a 5, very much about change, just in that mark making. 2022, look at those numbers, Adrian.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Yeah, great question. Well, it means that we've got these 3 2s, a triple 2. Now, a double anything is called a master vibration in numerology, whether that's an 11 or 22, 33. 3 amplifies that energy even more, and it's a higher consciousness or frequency of that particular number. And the 2 is collaboration. It's coming together. So think about that 2, the harmony, the peace, the alignment, the respect of you and other, right? So it's very much about relationships. And the triple 2, the 2 plus the 2 plus the 2 creates this 6. And if you imagine or just visualize or write that 6 out, make the mark of the 6, the number, digit 6. To me, it looks like a pregnant woman. It's birthing beautiful love, service, and relationship to something or someone. So there's a lot more harmonious energy in the year, which is fantastic. We've got this triple collaborative, harmonious energy. Now, there's a spectrum on any frequency. The lower energy is perhaps giving away your own truth or integrity and letting somebody else run with it, being passive, not speaking up. Whereas when there's a giving and receiving, that reciprocity in the 2, you listen, I share. We then go, well, actually, I think this. And it's that open listening and receiving and working together. That's the highest form of the two, with kindness, with respect, with understanding. And in archetypal energy, it's the high priestess, very feminine, and not gender, but more of a receiving, feminine understanding of energy. So that's really exciting. I'm viewing that.
And refreshing.
Yes.
And I totally respect where the low vibrations are, so we're honoring them. However, the main message sounds refreshing and hopeful, which I think we can all use a healthy dose of.
Absolutely. And the two is in the feminine side. It's very moon. It's very lunar energy. So the sun, in weaving it back into the astrological terms, is more of our solar yang head, doing, assertive. The two is much more about listening, receptivity, tuning in, trusting, receiving, and following that inner wisdom. So there's a theme going on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So exciting indeed, very much new energy as we're going into 2022. There are some intense things happening, Adrian.
Okay. You got to warn us. I mean, we need to know.
Yeah. So I think when we meet the energy, and, it's all about awareness, isn't it?
Yes,
If you are tuned into any kind of astrological awareness, and there's so much out there, most people will know that next year, 2022, America has their Pluto return. Now, Pluto is the furthest out planet, it's an outer planet, and orbits about every 247, 48 years roughly. It takes that long to come back around the sun to the position it was. The moon moves every 29 and a half days, right? The sun takes 12 months. So you think about that. So way back in 1776, that Declaration of Independence, when, America officially reclaimed, as a country, Pluto is coming back to that exact point in February 2022.
So I know you're not a fortune teller, but what does that mean?
What does that mean?
As the Canadians looking down to the U.S., where we're kind of sometimes have our hands over, where they're such good friends of ours, and we're like, oh, what are you doing?
I know. Well, and this Brit here living in Hawaii, I think America has, the currency, and we're all going to feel it in some way. I don't fully know. And I have to say, it's not that come February, everything's going to be like, whoa. It's going to take about 2 years. But Pluto is, let's look at the higher frequency of Pluto. Pluto gets a bit of a bad rap like Saturn because it's all about this power, authority, control. It's a high up, downward energy that we feel. Manipulation, they're the lower frequencies. However, the higher frequencies is very much about rebirth and transformation. So if I could theme the energy for kind of next year, it is all about transformation through collaboration, right? That's how I would view that. And it's intense. So I don't fully know, there's huge opportunities, not only in America, but globally for big transformative changes and everything power down and power over. And it's definitely started. We've been feeling it really for the last 8 years or so, but it's building. And, the beginning of the year will be pretty intense. But use that, what can we do within our own world to align with that energy? If we cling to the old, that's where we get the duality and the struggle. So where can you bring that energy of transformation and change and regeneration into your own life? right? And that, as humans change, some of us respond to change easier than others. But Pluto, if we cling, things will die away. That energy is there anyway. It's much easier if we kind of align and work with Pluto like a friend and go, okay, things are up for big, big change. And it's going to be gradual because Pluto's coming back to the same point as it was in 1776 in Capricorn. So it's earthy, right? I mean, Capricorn, if you've got Capricorn somewhere in your own birth chart and you know where that is, that's where this transformation in your own life is going to occur.
Oh.
And Capricorn. So if you know that, great. There's lots of resources, and I'm always happy to help. But Capricorn is that mountain energy. It's very cardinal initiative earth. It's responsible, it's committed, it's hardworking. It builds towards something bigger. It's the influencer. It's it's here to kind of create and build. So within yourself, it will be somewhere in your birth chart. For me, it's my second house, which is very much about my own resources. So I know next year that there's going to be huge change. And what would I resource? Well, obviously money, but my time and energy is definitely what I value. And my own personal resources, could be my health as well, right? Where am I spending my time and energy? So for me, I go, oof, okay, if I'm clinging to old ways, and our daughter's going off to college and, planning going to England, big changes, right, around how am I spending my time and energy. And so that for me is, do you know where it is for you, Adrian?
I don't, but I'm going to look it up right after we finish recording this.
Yeah. But we all have it. So that's going on in your own life. And we'll see that in America. We're already seeing it, right? Mm-hmm. It's not going to be a surprise, but there's going to be a lot of big changes externally in the structures of America. The other thing that's happening next year is we're having the nodes of the moon change signs. Now, think about the moon, orbiting. It's beautiful, illuminary in the sky. Every 18 and a half years, roughly, it comes back to the same elements as it was. So it has this magnetic field, one called the North Node and one called the South Node. So we can't really see them. Think of it kind of like a pendulum or a magnet pulling the moon. The North Node is where we're heading to unconsciously as a planet. It's often called Rahu in Vedic astrology. And I know it as our gateway of destiny and our growth. It's where we experience the most wisdom and evolution of the soul. It's uncharted energy, not the most comfortable. The South Node, on the other aspect, is kind of our default, where we've come from, where we all feel comfortable. And this is collectively, because it's going on in the sky, but it's also going on within us. And from May 2020, the North Node's been in Gemini, the South Node has been in Sagittarius. Come January, about the 18th, it's changing signs and elements. So it's big. It means that we're moving into a whole new, almost 19-month change in how we subconsciously and intuitively move towards not only as a planet, but within ourselves. And it's moving into Taurus, the North Node, and Scorpio, the South Node. So it's a very different energy, fixed. So you remember, we're circling back. I don't want to lose anybody, but I began.
You're doing an awesome job, but I was like, I definitely need to listen to this again.
I know, and
it's so good. But like, I'm listening to you, and then your mind's racing to all these personal, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? So if anybody's experiencing that, I think it's pretty normal.
very normal, and I'm going to slow it down in a minute.
No, you're doing an excellent job. And it's so thorough. That's the thing.
Well, there's so much. I'm trying to focusing on the highlights, but this is pretty big. All of us, if we just pause a moment and reflect back to May 2020, if we can do that, whether we do that now or just in our day as we re-listen to the podcast, something shifted for you in your own world. And you can look back. The great thing is we can look back to then 2000, roughly 2001, because the same thing happened. So we get these time periods, Adrian, about 18 to 19 years roughly. The moon is not exact because there's some void days, but we get these cycles of energy. So in January in 2022, this North Node is going to go into Taurus. And I've got some notes here. The last time it did that, so we can all look back, I'm flicking to my notes. The last time that happened was April 2003 to December 2004. Now, I know I gave birth. That was a huge, I got married and I gave birth. That was a huge year for me.
Yeah.
2001, I moved to Hawaii and, that changed. But so you can all reflect back and go, if some of our listeners might not be sure we're all kind of that age or beyond. So in January, we've got the North Node moving into Taurus, fixed Earth. There's a lot of Earth energy next year, which refers really to our structures within and without. So the element of Earth, particularly Taurus. So Adrian, you and me, because we have Sun, it's going to be a big, big year because it's going to activate our awareness around our Sun, what the energy we bring to the world. But everybody will feel that. And Taurus is one of their gifts is slowing everything down, coming into the present moment, taking a breath and tuning into the senses. It's all about touch and taste and the pleasures of this world, the beauty of nature, the smell of the flowers. It's ruled by Venus, so the beauty, the arts, the tangibility, the practicality, the dependability. So the North Node, the planet, this lunar energy, we're all being asked to slow down and become more aware of your own body, your own senses, your own stability in this world, right? How are you taking care of yourself as well as others? What are you putting into your body? It's certainly the foods, what we grow. How environmentally and ecologically aware are we, right? It's not only our own body, it's the body of Mother Earth. So there's going to be a lot of focus on the ecology, the environmental. I mean, we need that. The Earth's crying out, right? But we're going to see much more of that in these next 18, 19 months. And it's going to begin January, mid-January, but that's within all of us. So next year, all the Mercury retrogrades actually are in Earth signs as well. There's a lot of earthy feeling to me in this looking ahead in 2022. And I'm inviting people to kind of find where Capricorn is, because there's big transformation with Pluto, but these nodes of the moon, the gateway changes, the evolution of our learning and our spiritual wisdom is going to move into the Taurus energy. And we're letting go of the Scorpio intense emotional feelings that aren't serving us, the past, and moving much more into this earthy, embodied energy. So look where Taurus is as well. There's a very earthy vibe going on next year. And how can you bring in the changes into your own body and awareness? So that could be health, but it could be, how are you spending? Taurus also is all about money, and stuff. I can vouch to that. I never travel lightly.
I'm like, yeah, you just didn't include the stubborn part yet.
I was leaving that to last, Adrian. was two Taurus here, two Taurus sun. I'm laughing, you and I.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
It is. But it's, everybody's going to feel it. But anybody that has, their sun, moon, or their rising, that's what I call the kind of the power force, the sacred geometry of you. They're the key leaders in your birth chart or your own astrology. The sun, how you kind of take the light and energy into the world. The moon, how you receive and you're emotionally in tune to your needs and take care of yourself. And then the rising, the tone and the energy you bring every day. It's the sun rising up. How are you bringing and unifying the sun and the moon? So they're the basics, but everybody next year will heavily feel that Taurus North Node. Where are we moving into earned wisdom and growth in regards to our planet, the foods we eat, how we take care of the earth and our own world?
It's amazing.
So letting go of stuff for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, perhaps not clinging, right, to those stubborn ways.
Got a lot of work to do.
Oh, yes, you and me both. Isn't that the journey? And we get a little insight. So I don't know what, Adrian, was going on for you around about that 2003, April to December. That will give you an idea. And if it was really challenging, don't go, oh my God, is that going to be the same? No, we're upgrading, right? So the moon upgrades our emotional receptivity and our awareness, our subconscious intuitive awareness. So whatever was going on for all of you who are listening in that time period, round about April 2003, right through till the end of 2004, next year, so from January 2022 right through till 2023, we're going to get a repeat and an upgrade. And you get to choose what that is.
I love it. I've got to do some backtracking. I've got to think a little bit on what was going on.
Yeah, a little bit of reflection. And, you can choose to do that really from the end of December through till January. We have the new moon in Capricorn is a super moon on January the 2nd. So I would invite the listeners to maybe re-listen to this because I know it's a lot. But just take in the words or the feelings and the thoughts that, spark your attention. And what for 2022 do you want to change in your own practicality, in your own transformative energy? And that could be dreams, but it could be more habits about, perhaps planting a garden or changing things in your food, right? Diet and health are going to be certainly an awareness and our own space. I mean, I'm looking at bookcases here where I'm recording. I'm going, I perhaps need to give away some of my books.
Yeah.
Create space. Where could you create space for this transformation? Yeah.
It's just remarkable, it's just so interesting to hear all of it. And then, just think about, as you described, on all of the micro and macro levels and everything in between. It's a lot of food for thought.
It is. It's a great description. Food for thought. That's very Taurus. I love it.
And so for the people who are listening, who are curious, they're like, I don't have I'm not even sure of the right term for it, the birth chart or
the birth chart.
Birth chart.
Birth chart.
How is it at astrology.com?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different kind of free ways to get that. I use astro.com.
Oh, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, astro.com. I mean, there's Cafe Astrology, but I like astro.com, and you just need to create, an email and a password. And what you do need is your birth time to get the accuracy. If you don't know that, we can kind of recalibrate a chart, and I can help with that. And I always offer a special price for consultations to your listeners, Adrian. But if you do know your birth chart, and if you don't, you could put midday or midnight, try and guesstimate. And then you'll need the birth city and place, the location of your birth, and obviously the day, month, and year. But it's very easy to bring up. Now we've got this digital software that's free. You can easily bring up your own birth or natal chart, which looks like a circle. It looks kind of crazy because there's a lot of math and lines, but it makes it very easy to locate the sun and the moon. They're the two key luminaries, and the rising. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I always love to give listeners options, right? So if you're just curious and you want to go on and do the free download, it's an amazing place to start. But working with someone like Emma, or Emma in particular, is awesome. She has done my chart for me, and we had this incredible consultation, which I did listen to several times, but even over the course of time, because you said things and it kind of just planted a seed. But it was fascinating, and I thought about it a lot, and things really did come into my awareness, but sometimes in different ways. So that may all sound cryptic, but it's not meant to. It's just, I found it really, really valuable.
Oh, that's great to hear. And hey, look, I always say I'm that continual student. Even me, I have to go back and listen and go, oh, and now I kind of deepen. To me, why I do this is to help you all understand yourself on a deeper level.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not about predictability, or we can't. Any astrologer that says that, we do not know, but we can support you in knowing yourself. And then you've got much more awareness to respond on a higher level rather than reacting to stuff that's going on, because you go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That is going to affect me and influence me in this way. I'm going to respond in a different choice. That's how it's helped me navigate the energies. And it's a wild time on this planet, right? I think if we can come back to more of who you are and understanding, why you chose to be here, yeah, we can bring a little bit more heart and ease into our day and our world.
Emma, I just thank you so much for your time and for all of your wisdom. And it's so interesting. And I do think, we have been through such wild times, so to be able to have some perspective and grounding and things to think about as we move forward. I also think it helps us just clear out and be ready for that transformation. So what are the best ways for people to reach you or follow you?
Yeah, probably my website. I ebb and flow on social media, more on Instagram, and I'm under Soul Guide Kupu on Instagram. But my website, emmakupumitchell.com, probably is the best way, Adrian, to find me and see what's going on in some of my free events and other offerings.
And to book your consultation for your birth chart.
Yeah. I love helping people in that way.
Oh, you're so good at it. You're so good. And as before we sign off, you've kind of said it already, but are there any, final words that you want to leave people with as they, digest this and contemplate and move forward?
Yeah, there's fabulous energies coming in, intense transformation. I would invite your listeners to just take those words into your body. And where can you allow and create more space within for that transformation, the rebirth, and bring a little more love and tenderness and slowing down into your day, because that's a very earthy energy. So sacred pause. I think that would be the mantra for me, and I'm inviting listeners to find their own. And how can you bring in more of that sacred pause into your day, every day?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's so simple, but not simple. When you're going about your day. So that mantra I really love, and I know I get the reminder to slow down all the time. It's definitely a running theme for me, and I imagine for most of us.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm sharing, what we teach, we need, right?
Yes.
I'm like, okay, thank you, Emma, for the reminder.
Exactly. Exactly. Emma, I want to thank you. I want to wish you a beautiful 2022. And I just so appreciate, on behalf of everybody listening, everything that you shared today.
You are welcome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm wishing everybody and you, Adrian, a fabulous start to the new year. And yeah, here's to 2022. It has a certain vibration, doesn't it? Ring.
It does.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me back. It's always a pleasure. Love you so much, and much aloha.
Thanks, Emma. Thank you for listening. May some of the wisdom shared here inspire your most intentional living. For more information about this episode, this podcast, intentional living, and my work in the world, please visit mayyouknowjoy.com. You can also find my May You Know Joy and Seeds of Intention cards there, and my book, Intentional Days. You'll also find details for the Intentional Days membership, where you can gain access to a thriving community of intentional souls and lots of regular inspiration. I've got you covered. Until next time, I wish you great joy and many intentional days.